Texas, where they do everything bigger, better and brighter, including the city of Austin. They revel in keeping it weird. Fantastic venue for our final IMSA event of the year here on IMSA Radio and IMSA TV. I'm John Hindorf, alongside me is Peter Mackay, and we draw in all of the storylines. The threads are all being tied off just a little bit as we head to our final 35 minutes of action of the season. We're just south of the city and of the airport for 20 corners, 3.5 miles, just under 3.4 miles, 5.5 kilometres, with action areas, of course, on the big climb up to turn number 1, down through the S's. Can get a bit squirrely through there. Big braking area, another downhill braking area down into turn 11. Just over 8/10 of a mile down to turn 12 on the back straight, and then the technical section back to the finish line through the newly named Andretti hairpin. Hello to you all if you're joining us on what is a glorious day here at the Circuit of the Americas. Peter Mackay alongside me, as I mentioned, and the lovely thing here is, Peter, is that in this second race of Porsche Carrera Cup North America here at COTA, the last one of the season, we still have championships on the line, 3 of them to be exact.
Idea who's going to win as well in the ExxonMobil Pro class. Ryan Yardley had the dream day yesterday, extending his advantage to 10 points when you include the points that he has got for starting on pole position in this race. Riley Dickinson, all he can do is win the race and hope that Yardley finishes enough down the order for him to become champion. There is so much to play for in the Solaris Aviation Pro-Am class. There's only 9 points between JP Martinez and Alan Metney, who got his 4th win at the Circuit of the Americas yesterday. And in the Teams Championship, it's very much advantage top racing with a 14-point gap over Kelly Moss. So if they can get a car on the podium, they'll have a great chance of taking that Teams Championship for the very first time.
How does it break down, Peter? We came in to this weekend with Riley Dickinson having a scant 2-point lead. That was pretty much wiped out immediately as we got through qualifying for the first race, as the pole position points for Ryan Yardley brought them level, and then the race yesterday, advantage Ryan.
It was, yeah, a race win for Ryan Yardley yesterday from pole position, which is really, really key. Riley Dickinson fought hard. I mean, he was compromised big time off the rolling start, got stuck in the melee a little bit, and then fought his way through admirably to 3rd position. Kelly Moss Racing maybe got a little bit unlucky with the late full course yellow, which effectively ended the race, because they then didn't get the opportunity for Aaron Johnson to allow Riley Dickinson through. It would have been of no consequence to Johnson, but those extra points, how they might miss those extra points from yesterday. So it is advantage Yardley, but we've seen this championship ebb and flow, back and forth again over the course of the year. It could well do that again here in the sunshine in Austin, Texas.
The weather is absolutely perfect and could not wish for anything better. Blue skies, warm temperature, the track not quite as warm as it was yesterday afternoon. That's probably just as well for the Yokohama tyres. We'll have a quick look at the grid before we roll off in front of a big crowd on Grand Prix Day, of course, here at Texas. Here's how they line up. So at the back of the grid is, when I say I'm not sure this is correct, but I'm going to go down it anyway. At the back of the grid, Scott Blind for Ruckus Racing. He didn't finish where he wanted to yesterday. Oh, I bet I know why. He'll have changed his chassis after the shunt yesterday. Javier Paul is alongside him on row 12. Kelly Moss's Todd Parriott and Chris Palomo are next in the class of the Masters category. Patrick Mulcahy and Rob Walker on row number 10. On row 9, Alex Pratt for ACI and Wes Slim for Kelly Moss Racing. Cole Kleck on the 16th position with JDX Racing's Madeline Stewart alongside. Michael McCann for McCann Racing. Well, I'm pausing there because I've already seen a car that isn't on my grid. So, tell you what, we'll scrap that and go off what I can actually see, because I don't believe that to be correct, because the 53 car's back, which wasn't there yesterday, Peter.
That's correct, yes, and that is Rob Walker and Herbie the Lovebug. So Herbie is back for the final day. Of course, Rob Walker didn't make it to the start yesterday. That's wonderful to see that he'll be in place today. See if I can make the front of the grid work. Unfortunately, we don't have our usual excellent Alcamel timing this weekend. At the front of the grid, where it really matters, in the classes, Alan Metney, Kelly Moss Racing is in 9th position, and in pole for Pro-Am. Rob Walker is back, as I said, and he's on pole position for JRT Motorsports Engineering in the Masters class, despite not having taken part in the race yesterday. Didn't really get to the bottom of that. And as far as the front of the grid is concerned, the front row is all top racing, and that's super important for Ryan Yardley. Tyler Maxson, I'm afraid, got a penalty yesterday for blocking. That was assessed after the race finished, so that handed the Rookies Championship to Aaron Johnson, who'll start alongside his Kelly Moss teammate Riley Dickinson on the second row. Riley on the inside, behind our race brew pole sitter Ryan Yardley. Those two now, the only two who are in the championship hunt. On row 3, it's Jimmy Libre for ACI and JDX's Zach Vanier, and Jared Thomas and Sabra Cook make up the top 8 for JTR and JDX. That's how they line up, at least at the front of the field. And all we can expect now, Peter, is flat-out racing. And it's pretty simple for Riley Dickinson on his on home ground here in Texas. It is his home state. He's got to get in front of Ryan Yardley and hope that as many cars get between him and Ryan Yardley as possible. That's all he's got to do. In a way, it's a little bit liberating, actually, for Riley Dickinson. Get to the front of the field and then let nature take its course after that.
Yeah, that is a very that's a very good point, actually, as they are heading around the circuit. 35 minutes on the clock, and we'll wait to see how this one plays out. Wind will be across the start-finish line, which is in the car's face as they come down, on the nose of the cars. They come down to the heavy braking area at turn number 13. And the teams, well, they've done everything they can now, Peter. They've just basically strapped the drivers in, and the next 35 minutes, on which the season depends, is all down to them.
Yeah, their job is done, and if the car appears in the pit lane, that is terrible news. This is not a pit stop race. It is a straight sprint to the flag, and for Top Racing and for Kelly Moss, I think it's a good moment to really give a tip of the cap to both of those outfits, because they've prepared perfect cars for their drivers and given us a fantastic platform to race on, and may the best driver win.
Coming through the 19th corner down towards the Andretti turn, which is turn 20. It was the 21st of October 2012 when the Lotus 79, the last car to win a Formula One World Championship in the hands of an American driver, was driven around here by that American driver, Mario Andretti. And the final IMSA action of 2025 is about to get underway. Porsche Carrera Cup North America with Yokohama is green, and they race up the hill towards that tricky left-hander, and this possibly the biggest danger area for Ryan Yardley, Peter.
And Riley Dickinson having to go as far to the inside as he can possibly go, and it's getting a little bit tight there as it's all coming round. But Zachary Vanier in the Don's Pizza car right round into second position. What a job there from the man from Ontario, and he's right on the case of championship leader Ryan Yardley. Dickinson hangs on to third, but he has got a bogey in between him and his championship rival, and that is Zachary Vanier. What a start from the Canadian. Fantastic stuff there off the start, but Yardley doing exactly what he needs to do there, which is getting away cleanly. He leads by a couple of car lengths then from Zachary Vanier then, which is the ideal scenario really for Yardley, because he's got a car between himself and Dickinson. So remember though that Yardley comes in with that 10-point advantage as Jeanson and Jimmy Libre battling away over 6th position right now. So already rookies champion Aaron Jeanson, he can drive free and try and get the best result he can as they rush down the hill at over 150 miles an hour to the braking zone for turn 12. Libre on the inside, Jeanson on the outside, and Jeanson gets shown the paint big time as several drivers, including Sabre Cook, run wide there. Now into the tight Nadgery complex of 13 and 14, and Zachary Vanier trying to get his ticket to the Porsche Junior shootout, as are many of these drivers, and he's gone off the circuit now as well and cast him filter back into line there. Third place Riley Dickinson, he knows only a win will do, and Yardley leading the way though in that number 78 yellow and black TCS machine. Through into the final sector they go, up towards the Mario Andretti corner, newly named Mario Andretti corner, a driver who has a little bit of a background with Porsche, first driver to drive the 962 at the Daytona 24 Hours back in the 1980s. But the first lap complete then, a 35-minute sprint, and Zachary Vanier, superb job from the Canadian to get through into second position, but Dickinson really deep on the brakes, in fact too deep on the brakes into turn 1 there, but doesn't lose a huge amount of time as they rush through into the opening sector, where it's just like a slalom, right then left, then right then left, all the way, putting the Yokohama tyres through the maximum amount of stress.
Yeah, they are all looking nice and tidy as they come through. The leader slightly too wide as he came through the first part of the S's and riding up as far as he can dare. Had all 4 Yokohamas across and off the circuit there beyond the red and white curbs. We'll have to be careful about that. A penalty, a big penalty here. It's not what he needs. Massive lineup. Hello to Tom Clark, who love nothing better, he says, to see a big lineup of Porsche Cup cars on a Sunday morning. And I'd agree with that. And to everyone who's here at COTA watching this at the moment, the sound of that normally aspirated flat 6 times, what have we got, 24-2 dozen. Fabulous start from the pit lane side, the pit lane wall side, by the number 78 Ryan Yardley. For a moment it looked like Riley Dickinson was going to slot into second, but out of nowhere the mostly white and red Don's Pizza's car that was express delivery for the Don's Pizza, and Zachary Vanier and JDX Racing dropping in to second place. Can he be the spoiler, as the leader went very, very wide as well on the first lap? That's at least a couple of track limits we've seen there, and that has got to be perhaps the only issue for Ryan Yardley. But as I say, Peter, he can't afford a 10 or a 20-second penalty here that would drop him down the field, and he had to defend fairly stoutly coming into 13, 14 and 15 from Zachary Vanier, and Zachary's got nothing to lose here.
Nothing, and as I mentioned, you know, that a lot of these drivers at the front of the field, as Baltas puts a big move there for 5th position on Aaron Jeanson, and Johnson's just not going to let it go. He's going side by side as Baltas cuts the track, and then Jeanson cuts the track. Oh, how do you break the bones out of that one? But Jeanson reclaims the position for now. But on your point on the penalties is a really important one, John, because if you get a time penalty hanging over you, and like yesterday, you finish behind the pace car, that becomes a lot more punishing than if we finish under green, and of course the drivers have zero control over that. So it's yeah, you do not want that penalty hanging over you, so the drivers have got to be careful. If they're going to win, you've got to win clean.
And that is, I mean, wise words from Mr. Mackay is all I'm going to say there. Alan Metney from Patrick Mulcahy in second and JP Martinez in third. Those three separated by under 4 seconds in Pro-Am category, although they have got Madeline Stewart between Patrick and Alan for the battle for the lead. And in Masters, Scott Blind has already got ahead of Rob Walker with Todd Parriott in third position. It's a good run by Todd yesterday, actually, because he had to start at the back. He lost all of his times and pulled up through the field quite nicely. So, after the excitement of the opening laps, is it settling down? Well, to a point, yes, at the front of the field, but Jared Thomas in that red and white car sitting just on the bottom end of the top 10 with Michael McCann. And who else is in there? That's JDX's Paul Bacchus and Michael de Quesada. And then a little bit further back, Cole Kleck in the bright orange car. That's an easy one to spot. So they're still having a little bit of a scrap at the tail end of the top 10. There's also a little line forming behind Kelly Moss's Aaron Johnson in the dark red and silver car, which includes Sabra Cook having a good run to 7th for JDX Racing. She's had no luck at all this year. Down the inside there for Michael McCann in the all silver, the GT silver car. That's the colour in which the cars are supplied, and there's almost a little touch between him and Jared Thomas as they go down the bottom of turn 3, and Thomas I think is going to lose out to the number 71 as well of Paul Bacchus for JDX. Yes, he is, as they go through the S's. All he can do now is settle in, and Cole Kleck, with those three battling, has closed up massively and now is right on the tail of that battling pair ahead of him.
At the front of the field, while the melee goes on in the middle, Ryan Yardley is grabbing this trophy with both hands and looking to put it in his pocket and zip it up, because he's just set a new race lap record for this championship, 2:07.951. We're going way quicker than we were yesterday. Yes, the track conditions are cooler than they were yesterday in the mid-afternoon, but we're doing exactly the right thing if you're Ryan Yardley's crew right now, pulling away from Zachary Vanier in second position. And Riley Dickinson, if he wants to claim a second Porsche Carrera Cup North America title, he has to get past Vanier, and he needs to get past him now. In the Pro-Am class, this is important as well. Right now, Alan Metney is leading the way, and JP Martinez, championship leader, is in third behind Patrick Mulcahy. Now, that would mean an 8-point swing. The gap is 9 points at the moment, but it all comes down then to the point for fastest lap. Martinez has more wins, so he would win on countback, even if Metney was to get the fastest lap point. But imagine that, tied on points at the end of the season. Quite remarkable.
Yeah, and the bad news for Alan is that the fourth Pro-Am driver, Javier Ripoll Jr., is actually well down and unlikely to get between JP and Pat Mulcahy. So JP doing exactly what he needs to. In fact, he's dropped away a little bit from the back of Mulcahy. He does not need to get in a scrap there with him or anybody else, although he does have Wes Slimp right with him, not in the same class, but again, he's got to drive carefully and sensibly there as this battle for what is 11th position now. Jared Thomas dropped out of the top 10 after Michael McCann and Paul Bacchus both went past him. Cole Kleck, Michael de Quesada, and Cole Kleck's gone through as well. Has he? Sort of. Oh, nasty little hip and shoulder there. Front wheel to front wheel coming into 15. And the front wheels and Yokohama tyres on these Cup cars are actually quite exposed. Yes, they are what we would call closed wheel cars, Peter Mackay, but particularly at the bottom, at the road end of that wheel, they stick out a long way. They run a lot of camber on the front end there, and you really do risk damaging yourself or someone else if you're banging wheels like that.
You do, you're playing the lottery, but in general, these cars are built mighty, mighty tough. We saw some big hits at Road Atlanta where drivers were able to carry on unbothered. But right now, Riley Dickinson is absolutely bothered by Tyler Maxson, who's on his tailpipe right now. We know how aggressive Tyler Maxson can be, and we know how quick he can be. And right now, he is making Riley Dickinson's life very, very difficult indeed. If we finished as we are right now, not only would Ryan Yardley win the championship, but Top Racing, his team, would win the Entrance Championship, which would effectively mean that Kelly Moss wouldn't be at the top of the standings at the end of the year, as they have been all the way through the history of this championship.
Well, there's been a couple of infiltrators down through the years, but I do seem to remember handing teams championships in particular to representatives of Kelly Moss Racing. It's Victoria and Andy now who are branching out and taking on even more. They are the new custodians of Riley Racing, of course, and will be racing in a number of different championships, including in the IMSA paddock next season. Big plans. Had a chat with Victoria, who brought her own special kind of sunshine and happiness into our Global Broadcast Centre last weekend at Motul Patilamon, and fair play to them for what they've done for the sport down through the years, and particularly to all the teams in this paddock who represent themselves and Porsche so brilliantly with the way they turn out the cars and the very respectful way that they all go racing together. This is a championship that lasts from this year, from March until the end of October, and we're waiting to hear the details of the full championship for next year. I expect it to be somewhat similar, but still a few dates to be filled in. The championship silverware to be handed out later on today, and at the moment the big trophy for overall and the pro class is heading the way of Ryan Yardley, the man from Top Racing, and he might have to put a bit of extra baggage on his way back to his home in New Zealand, in Christchurch. Side by side. Say again, Peter, sorry?
He may do, but Riley Dickinson has just put the absolute best second sector in, and half a second quicker than your leader Ryan Yardley, so Dickinson is not rolling over yet. 2.4 seconds between them, albeit with Zachary Vanier in between them, but Dickinson now finding some real pace in that middle sector as well. He was strong there yesterday too, funnily enough, so it's obviously part of the circuit which he's comfortable in.
Yeah, the Antipodeans so far in World Motorsport have had a decent weekend outside of here in Texas. Maybe Ryan's going to put that one right. But strong showing in MotoGP down at Phillip Island in the early hours, in fact late last night actually, here in this time zone. And there's a bit of bump and run there further down the field. Michael De Quesada and Cole Kleck getting rather more intimate than I'm sure Cole wanted, as he just had a little tap going into turn one, sent him wide, and the very patriotic Stars, Stripes and red and black number 11 goes through and takes 12th position in the pro class and overall.
So Cole Kleck definitely making his presence known in his second weekend in the Porsche Carrera Cup North America.
Oh, mistake by De Quesada. I was just about to say it, and there was a little sniff and a giggle from me. The two cars ahead both went so far over the turn 9 curb that they actually straddled the bollard on the inside, the orange sort of pyramid. Then De Quesada took a much more conventional line, a more reasonable line, one might say, and he completely lost it on the exit. You lose the back of the car going over the top of the hill at turn 9, and turn 8 that was, sorry, and my goodness me, he was on the grass for a long time there, Peter, and that was a great piece of save driving, fast hands then from the number 11 driver, De Quesada.
So Alan Mette at the moment, a 2:10.3, his best lap of the race, but that is not as strong as Patrick Mulcahy, who's right behind him, a 2:10.1, but Metney really needs that extra fastest lap point. De Quesada did very well there, coming through turn 11 to actually gather the car up and not end up into the wall, which is actually closer than you think. Or even though this is a very modern circuit, that is very, very close there to the side of the road.
Top of the hill at turn 9, that was. I threw you out there, Peter, because I said they'd gone across the curb at 9. Actually, that was turn 8 as they were coming up the hill. But you're right, you run out of road very, very quickly. It has been pretty dry here recently, and so it was dust and might maybe just had a little more grip than if that had been wet grass. Hearing of a
word coming in from Michael De Quesada getting a penalty, post-race penalty, 10 seconds.
Right.
That now for the
that'll be for the bump, presumably, was it?
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah. So at the moment, Alan Metney is a little bit bottled up behind Madeline Stewart, who's running 14th overall and running in the pro class, whereas the Solaris Aviation Pro-Am class is what Alan Metney's concentrating on. But he's getting a little bit bottled up there, which is allowing Patrick Mulcahy to give a lot of problems to Metney. Now, Metney knows that whatever happens, he needs the fastest lap and he needs to win the race. Now, he is leading the race at the moment, but I actually think he's struggling to put in a fast lap where he is right now, running in the dirty air behind Madeline Stewart's car.
Yeah, now that is that's going to push De Quesada an awful long way back. At the front of the field, it is still comfortable. A second and a half, Ryan Yardley to Zach Vanier. Plenty of battles going on behind as the silver car of Michael McCann and Jimmy Libre having a battle in the white, blue and yellow car. Jimmy's had a great season, thoroughly enjoyed himself. He'll be loving being in the top 10. Sorry, that's Sabre Cook, isn't it? Jimmy Libre ahead of them in the red and black car. Sabre deciding not to fight that one too hard, but does the cutback and gets her nose back ahead. That's lovely driving. Now, she had the right to move across. He's staying in the middle of the road, defending. Will McCann go down the inside? No, goes to driver's right and tries to go the long way around turn 1, big red, but he does not get that done. It's a really weird entry to turn 1 because the hill actually flattens out just as you are turning into it. It's a really odd one. I always think the best way into that is to diagonally go across from your turning point to a slightly late apex. They used to put a bollard on the top of there, but they gave up on that after a while because they just got knocked out every other lap. Just to try and keep the car stable. It's much easier to come in on a very unconventional line. It also dissuades people from trying to dive up the inside as well. And it's all to do with how it flattens out very quickly. It is almost like a launch ramp at the end of a short deck through Carrier, like the things they used to fire the Harriers off back in the days. So Yardley leading by 1.3 seconds, then another 9/10 back from Zach Vanier to Ryan Dickinson, Zachary Vanier to Ryan Dickinson. Tyler Maxson another 8/10 further back, and those are the leading four at the moment. We're not talking about them that much because there's so much battling going on elsewhere, and Jared Thomas is caught back up with the Paul Beguse number 71 car. Jared exploring a couple of different areas of the track going into turn number 12 and 13. Turn number 15. Now into 16, 17 and 18, all smoothed off. He might be able to get all the way around the outside. That would be audacious. That would be one of the moves of the season if Thomas, the rookie, could do that. And he has done it. And he's got it stopped for turn 19. Might leave himself a little bit exposed down into Mario Andretti corner. And he does. They're side by side coming through that final machine. The two machines together through the final corner, and that is one of the exchanges of the season at very high speed.
Brilliant side to side battling there. Good respectful racing from Jared Thomas and Paul Bocuse. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, Yardley doing what he needs to do. Despite little bursts of pace from Riley Dickinson, Yardley seems to have every answer at the front of the field right now and is doing exactly what he needs to do to claim this 2025 Porsche Carrera Cup North America. And if he did so, that would be 5 different winners in the history of this championship from 5 different countries.
Yeah, good point. Emphasising the international nature. New car for next year. It is a change of nomenclature as well, as it ceases to become a GT3 Cup car and just becomes a Porsche Cup car, which in point of fact actually makes things a lot easier for those of us who commentate on a number of different championships, and also as a point of difference to the GT3 Formula cars that race in the FIA World Endurance Championship and of course in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. Some detailed changes on the bodywork, slightly different aerodynamics and a few control systems. The drivetrain remaining identical with the racing gearbox and the glorious, sonorous, flat 6 4-litre normally aspirated engine. Michael McCann getting busy again, this time to the right-hand side at the back of the number 37 of Sabra Cook. Not the season that Sabra had envisaged, I'm sure. Been a bit of a stop-start in times, a little bit of damage to the front of her car. She leaves the door open and again tries the cutback. We've seen this before. That's nicely done. Gets good drive off Andretti corner and she noses back ahead now. Just has to hold on to it. Got a half, 3/4, now a full car. Now comes the charge up the hill from McCann. Did he learn anything from the last time around? He tries to stay to the outside again and he does the switchback, but it'd be on the wrong side for turn 2 as they plunge down the hill to the right-hander under the walkover bridge. Can that multicoloured car of Sabra Cook get back to the inside? Yes, she can. That's very smooth through there indeed. They take a huge amount of speed through there and balanced. That was interesting. There was a dab of the brakes there from Michael, and Sabra just let the car run through the middle of the corner with no braking, letting the car stay balanced. Very interesting through turns 8 and 9 across the top of the brow where Di Casada had that huge moment earlier on. Flat out through the kink at 10 and now down into the very important braking area at turn 11. It just flattens out again there as you turn in. There's a number of different lines there, but the key thing here is to get on the power as quickly as possible for the 0.8 of a mile straight that takes you downhill into turn 12.
Brilliant racecraft from Sabra Cook, you have to say. I mean, Michael McCann asking every question and Sabra Cook firing back with every answer as they come towards the high-speed braking zone, nearly 160 miles an hour. Cook going very defensive down into turn 12, but struggling to keep McCann here now, or making him go around. And oh, McCann goes to try for the little switchback as well. Superb stuff. This is battling over 8th position at the moment, which would be one of Sabra's best results of the season. I think not only the position, the way that she could earn it here with 11.5 minutes left on the clock. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, the gaps have just come back together a little bit. It's now under a second at the front of the field, and Dickinson has actually got himself a bit closer as well. He's only 1.8 off the lead now, was over 2 seconds before. So it's yo-yoing back and forward.
This time, a very quick run through turn 19 for Sabra Cook. Meant she didn't have to defend into the Andretti corner at the end of the lap, and a sideways moment as Michael Thomas wanted to push through the final corner, and it looks to me as though Michael McCann, excuse me, tried to push through, and he just tried to take a little bit too much speed, lost the back end of the car, and that's cost him 2 or 3 cars lengths. As they're once again at the bottom of the S's, and a big curb strike from McCann, and somehow he gets back onto the track and gets the car.
Puncture.
I think he's got a puncture as well, Pete. I think that's left front or left rear. Can't decide which one it is, but he's certainly got either suspension damage or he's damaged his Yokohama tyres.
This could be full course yellow. This is huge.
He's
pulled the front of the field.
He's pulled up.
Ooh.
Oh no, it's suspension breakage on the right rear. He's broken the right rear suspension as he was going through. So maybe the off-track moment earlier on, maybe that side-by-side that we were talking about earlier on. But he's definitely broken the right rear suspension. The Yokohama tyre and wheel not pointing in the right direction and giving him some rear steer that he doesn't need. Now the question to me is, has it pulled out the drive shaft, or can he get that car to a place of safety?
We stay green for now, but a full course yellow, bringing out the race brew safety car would be the last thing that Ryan Yardley wants to see, and absolutely the best thing that Riley Dickinson would like to see at this moment in time. 9 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. We stay green for now. The leaders won't be far away from coming into that area. Now looking at our timing screen, Michael McCann has not come through in the second sector, so hopefully they've got that car to a place of safety.
They haven't. He's gone onto the back straight, I think, and he's just out of turn. I think that's just out of turn. Oh, maybe not, actually. I think that's just heading up the hill. He's put his hazard flashes on. Now, can he reverse that car into the orange overlaps? Here come the leaders. There'll be yellow flags just ahead of them. I think he's between 7 and 8. I thought he'd got down to the back straight, but I'm not certain about that. That looks like it might be on the climb up from 7 to 8. The leaders can't be far away from him. Zachary Vanier had already closed into under a second, and Riley Dickinson's right there as well. So we're going to have a shootout out for the race win and the 3 steps on the podium. Maybe it was on the back straight, you know.
Maybe it was a dark blue wall. Yeah,
it is the back straight.
Just on the exit. Yeah,
he's done well.
Wonderful stuff from Michael McCann to get the car to a place of safety. That won't have been easy with broken suspension, that's for sure, but that allows the race to stay green. So a big sigh of relief, I would think, on the Top Racing pit wall and Ryan Yardley's family, who I'm sure are watching this through their fingernails right now.
Yeah, I should have stayed with my first thought about that being just out of turn 11, and it was. Fair play as well to what must be a very disappointed driver in Michael McCann for McCann Racing. Realised his car was hobbled, but did get it into a place of safety so that we could continue to race. Top 4 pretty much together now. Now, they're not fighting tooth and nail, door mirror to door mirror at the moment, but this is far from comfortable for Ryan Yardley now, who has seen his gap at the front of the field whittled down. And what we didn't know beforehand, we did try and have a look, but the teams were keeping their cards fairly close to their chest, is who had a new set of Yokohama tyres for the last race of the season. And there was some thoughts that people had been storing up some tyres from previous rounds, Peter, to get them into a position of, because you're allowed to bring a couple of a set of tyres in from a previous round, and it does allow you, if you've got some good tyres left, to slam them on for the last race.
Well, whatever the package underneath Ryan Yardley, what can you say? I mean, he's played the consistency game all season. You know, only 2 wins, and the second of those was yesterday. But 13 podiums to this point out of 15 races to this point. And you think about it, you know, so you look at Riley Dickinson, 5 wins and 8 podiums. So, you know, much more wins, much more outright performance. But Ryan Yardley, he has stepped up and he's put the outright performance on the table here. Pole position for both races, there's 4 points. And then looking like he's in position to take a double victory here to stamp his name in for eternity on this trophy.
Now, I said track limits might become an issue, and Yves Boltas in 6th position is the first to fall foul of it. The number 15 is getting a 10-second post-race penalty for multiple track limits. Thanks to our colleagues in IMSA Race Control, and thank you and all of your cohorts and co-workers this year amongst the various IMSA series for your hard work, along with IMSA Technical as well. So Yves Boltas, post-race 10-second penalty when he crosses the line at the end of the race. Now that would take him down to around about the battle for 8th and 9th. Probably just behind Sabre Cook, actually, as it stands at the moment. Well, we'll wait till the end because we've still got 5 minutes to run there. Cole Clegg and Paul Bacuse's battle has not at all been turned down, not just simmering, still at boiling point at the moment as they come through turn 19, and that's track limits there as well. That's one of the places that's been looked at. Turn 19, turn 20, exit of turn 1, exit of turn 12. Just keep an eye on that.
Quite remarkable stuff in the Solaris Aviation Pro-Am class. If things finish as they are right now, with Metney in the lead and JP Martinez in third, Metney has the fastest lap in class. That would be them tied on 331 points for the whole season, but Martinez would take it with 6 wins over Metney's 5. Does it get any tighter than that?
Wow. Well, that is very close indeed, as is the racing on track. As there's a little touch for Scott Blinn, not in his usual car, had to start from the back, but managed to transport some of his bits and pieces and his paint scheme onto a mostly GT silver car, as he's having a battle for 18th and 19th place with Alex Pratt for ACI Motorsports. Oh, now another penalty for Yves Bultas. This time a drive-through penalty for further track limits violations. Now, I think it's too late now for him to do that, so that will probably be converted into probably 35 seconds here as a penalty. So he's dropping right out of it. And I'm hearing from race control that they're still clocking up track limits penalties for Yves Bultas, so he might not actually finish until Tuesday if he's going on like this. He's going to drop out to 6th position, so everyone else will move up a spot at the end of the race. Ryan Yardley's just got a little bit of a wiggle on and stretches his lead at the front of the field to a 2nd, but Riley Dickinson's right with him there in what would appear to be, I'm afraid, for Riley, who bossed the first part of the season. It will be white flag next time by for Ryan Yardley. Cole Clegg having a good look down the inside of Paul Bacuse, but then going wide. That's at turn number 11 onto the back straight. And Paul getting up the inside. There's possibly even a track limits there, actually, for Cole Clegg, who took to the extreme right-hand side. The back straight isn't straight, and it's not a straight line up and down either. It has 2 quite large rises and falls, and there's a pronounced right-hand kink in it. And that's where Cole Clegg went over the top of the white line. The battle at the moment is between 2nd and 3rd, Zachary Vanier and what will be our vice champion, Riley Dickinson. And Riley's right with him now. They'll have 1 lap to go, another 3.5 miles or thereabouts at the end of this one. 1st in the championship, from 3rd in the championship, from 2nd in the championship, from 2nd in the rookie championship, from 1st in the rookie championship. That's your top 5 at the moment. The cream has risen to the top, Peter.
Yeah, and that layer of cream has just got thicker over the season. At the start of the season, there was 1 or 2 drivers you could say were in it, and there's so many rising stars in this championship who I'm sure this championship will continue to churn out talents who go on to the top level of the sport as we go on to the final lap of the season. You look at the drivers that have won this championship in the past. Luke Hartog, last year's champion, he went on to drive at Le Mans this year, drove all the 3 major 24-hour races, Spa, Nürburgring and Le Mans, in consecutive weeks, not as a factory driver either. It was clearly in high demand. Riley Dickinson from 2 years ago, still incredibly quick and so highly regarded by many in the paddock. Parker Thompson, who drives for the Lexus Sullivan team in the IMSA WeatherTech Championship, and Seb Prio, now a factory driver with another manufacturer as well. That just shows you if you win this championship, you're likely to go on to great things. And Ryan Yardley, I mean, what a pro performance all year long. He's in line to score his 3rd victory, but his 14th podium out of 16, that has been the key to this championship for him.
Yeah, and what a decision has to be made by Porsche Motorsport North America as to which of these young drivers will represent Porsche Carrera Cup North America, presented by Yokohama, in the global young driver shootout a little later on this year over in Europe. Oh my goodness. And there's been a pass in Pro-Am, and it's significant because Patrick Mulcahy has gone to the lead, Alan Metney to second. Mulcahy then, that breaks the tie. It wouldn't have helped Alan anyway, but JP Martinez will take the championship by dint of points rather than count back as it stands at the moment.
Tyler Maxson getting really tough on the back of Riley Dickinson now, trying to pinch that last spot on the podium in the blue and yellow top racing machine. It won't matter for the outright championship because Ryan Yardley is into the final sector now.
Yardley has done exactly what he needed to do this weekend. Came in with a deficit of 2 points after Motul Petit Le Mans, goes home with the championship and is crowned as he crosses the line the 2025 Porsche Carrera Cup North America champion. Zachary Vanier will be in 3rd position in the championship. He'll be on the 2nd step of the podium and making up the top 3. Riley Dickinson, a hard fought, be a disappointed Dickinson after leading the championship for so long. So that's your top 3. Tyler Maxson in 4th, Aaron Johnson in 5th, Jimmy Lieber in 6th, 7th. One of her better results of the season for Sabra Cook. And coming to the line, we're waiting for the Pro-Am, and Patrick Mulcahy has gone through and beaten Alan Metney. That will mean JP Martinez is on 3:31 to Metney's 3:25. And therefore that is the championship. Meantime, Scott Blind got overtaken, not just 4 wheels off the track, but 2 Yokohamas on the grass by Alex Pratt further down. But he is confirmed as the Masters Championship in the racing car, because that's all that's written on the door. They swapped the door and the tailpiece and the rear wing over after Scott had a nasty incident through the S's yesterday. He had to get into the spare car to finish off the season. But Ryan Yardley for top racing. It's a double for that car and team. The driver wins the championship and the team win the team's award as well. A generous applause from a knowledgeable crowd. I noticed that yesterday, Peter, where a lot of people had stayed on. And this morning, although it's relatively early on a Grand Prix Sunday, there's a big crowd in, and hearty applause for a race and a championship well run and well won by Ryan Yardley.
The ultimate pressure was on Ryan there. You know, I understand that he's moving on to pastures new next year, so had to get the championship. And, you know, Road Atlanta didn't really go his way as such. You know, came in here trailing by 2 points, and to put it on pole for both races, to win both races. I mean, what an answer. Just pulled out his very best when it mattered most. And you look for Riley Dickinson, you know, he showed us through the seasons flashes of his true brilliance, where when he wins big.
Yeah.
A few, we must highlight 1 or 2 incidents were completely not of his making, particularly one at Watkins Glen, which cost him a whole truckload of points. So, you know, he will be really disappointed, of course, but he's fought a very tough championship as well.
Ryan Yardley takes the top step of the podium and will be in the Formula One cool-down room again, celebrating 2 wins this weekend and the Porsche Carrera Cup North America Championship. He only led the championship after 2 event weekends, one at Indianapolis and one here. And that's really all you need to know about Ryan's season. Wins undoubtedly based on his consistency and true grit. Masters, it will be Pat Mulcahy who is on the top step of their podium, so he'll get all the F1 honours in the Pro-Am, and in Masters, finishing off what has been a championship winning season, Scott Blind gets to finish his championship winning season at the top of a podium on the Grand Prix weekend as well, which sort of seems pretty reasonable and the right way for things to end up. Well, the top 3 in the championship, first, third and second in the final race today, in a championship that is just getting better and better. The quality is getting better and better. We move to a brand new car next year. I'm interested to see if that will shake up the hierarchy, but what we know is that Top Racing and Kelly Moss and ACI and JDX and JTR, Jared Thomas, remember, well in the hunt this year as a rookie in this championship with his own team. That is the JT of JTR. They've got a new car next season to get on with, as do everyone else. And I just wonder if it might be a slight shake-up or whether the teams who have always been good will continue. That's the joy of this championship. They all have the same machinery to work with. Great to see Scott Blind back in today after a disappointing incident yesterday. And he will finish off, in fact has finished off his season in style. Looks like he's got one of the Kelly Moss backup cars, actually. I think that's Alan Metney's backup car that he was in today. The GT Silver, the away kit, if you will, because the one that Alan was racing in today is the charcoal coloured car with the silver iFly on, and that's the GT Silver. So I think that's a spare Kelly Moss car that he was racing today.
Well, there we go. We've seen that paddock spirit coming out before, and I mean the top 4 covered by 2 seconds, covering the whole top 4 in the race, and they were glued together the whole way. And for Ryan Yardley, imagine the pressure to make no mistake, to hit every braking point, every apex, every gear change, and win that championship. What will that mean for that young man?
Oh,
what is next for Ryan Yardley?
Huge. And just because Riley Dickinson and Zachary Vanier have not won the championship, those are still names I think we're going to have to look out for. Riley, despite the fact he's been around forever, is still a very, very young man in his early 20s. Scott Blind, he's the Masters winner and the champion on the year, and gets his congratulations. Rightly so. Well, what a weekend.
So what happened? Did you pass Martinez? Somebody was on the side of the road.
I passed Martinez.
Scott
I don't
Blind,
think that was him.
plenty to say
Who
as
was,
ever
and
in
And
the
I was having some early bobbles because
a Shandong.
I don't know, my grip wasn't
Cool down
I
route.
had no rears at
They'll
all.
have a moment
it
just
was
to
going around the carousel. I was just
compose themselves before we get them out. Well, what a season it has been. Started off at Sebring. And starts off at Sebring, the original home of the US Grand Prix and one of the most historic tracks in North America, and finishes off at the new home of the US Grand Prix here at the Circuit of the Americas in front of a huge crowd. Our Porsche Carrera Cup North America by Yokohama Tyres team have done a cracking job, and with great thanks to PenFed Credit Union, who sponsored the last 2 rounds, being our presenting partner as well. And to add to the ceremony, our 3 category winners are brought out by the voice of Formula One, Bob Constantiouris, on the PA. And that's very nice. They put Scott Blind right on the top in the middle as one of the champions as well. Brilliant stuff. Everybody gets a turn on the top step of the podium. And here comes Ryan Yardley from New Zealand. Has literally come from the opposite side of the world to take 2 victories this weekend and to seal the 2025 championship. Here is the national anthem of the winning driver. I have no idea what time of the evening, night or day it is in Christchurch, New Zealand, but I have a strong suspicion there's a lot of people jumping up and down and making a lot of noise and annoying their neighbours for Ryan Yardley, who takes not only 2 wins this weekend, but also the championship. Congratulations to JP Martinez, who didn't win here this weekend, but did take the championship in Pro-Am. Scott Blind is on there with the Masters win in the championship. And let's not forget Pat Mackay to the left of the podium as we look at it, who took the win, a hard-fought win and a great season from Pat as well. And that wraps up a brilliant 2025 Porsche Carrera Cup North America season with Yokohama. Last 2 rounds presented by Penfred Credit Union. Peter Mackay has been alongside me, John Hindhaugh. Thanks for this weekend to our Formula 1 TV team and, of course, for the whole season to NASCAR Productions up in Concord and at the circuits. Have a great racing off-season. We'll see you in 2026. Bye-bye. Thank you, Peter. Thanks, man. Have a good one. Have a good holiday period. Bye-bye.